Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. Hey, I've got a drone for you today. I have the Holystone HS900 sub 250 gram drone. The sub 250 drone market is really starting to heat up, and some of these companies like Holystone are really stepping it up and improving the quality on these products to the point that there's a lot of choices out there now. So I'm really looking forward to trying this guy out and see if it can live up to the quality that we would expect. It's got all the right specs. After we show you what's in the box, we'll take this bad boy out and do a flight test with it. Okay, let me give you a closer look at the box. Jack over at Half Chrome did all the Sirius jokes already, so I can't do that. But it does tell us that's the name of the drone. It's the Sirius HS900 249 gram drone. On the side of the box gives us some of the highlights here. We'll talk more about that later. And then on the back, all the typical approval in various countries stuff. So yeah, let's quit messing around. Let's get it out of the box. As I expected, you've got a case, a drone case inside of the box. I so appreciate these companies that give you a nice carrying case with your drone. It just allows you to stay so much more organized. In this case, it looks like you got a little pocket on the front. You got some see-through mesh pockets on each side, and I don't see any other pocket on the back, but then a carrying handle, which I appreciate. I like using a handle. That's how I like to carry them around, but you also have a shoulder strap if need be. Okay, let's pop the top here and see what's inside. Yeah, a bunch of plastic bags, right? That's usually what you get. Documentation in the top here. You guys have all seen documentation before. Holystone does a pretty good comprehensive job of it, so I'm not going to pull that out. But let me get everything out of here. Looks like we've got the controller, the drone, and then a box full of accessories. Let me get it all pulled out and we'll show you what's in there. Okay, everything all in one shot here. You got the remote control, you've got the drone itself. One battery in the kit. I was hoping for at least for 2 batteries, but one battery is what comes with the kit. The ubiquitous USB-A to USB-C cable, that's for charging, right? For charging both the battery and the remote itself. Then you do have a spare set of props. Hopefully you won't need those. Hopefully you don't break a prop, but if you do, you've got them. You got a screwdriver to put them in and extra set of screws. You always want to do, when you change props, you always want to use the screws that they provide and use new screws. They do have Loctite on them, or thread locker, I guess I should say, to help keep those props securely in place. And then you have a couple of cables here. I call them OTG cables, but they're what connect your mobile device to the controller. Let's pull them out of the bag. So if you have an iPhone 14 or older, this is USB-C to Lightning cable. For most of us now, if you've got an Android phone or an iPhone 15 or newer, USB-C to USB-C. I noticed that they don't include, a lot of the drones now still include the USB-C to micro USB, which it's just, nobody uses that anymore. You'd have to have a pretty old phone for that. Okay, let's take a look at the battery. It's a 2250 milliamp hour battery. They're saying that it's good for 30 minutes flight time. I guess what I'm going to tell you is all drone manufacturers exaggerate the flight time you're going to get out of their batteries. I'm going to say that you'll probably get between 20 and 25 minutes flight time. That includes landing with 10 or 15% battery left. You typically don't want to go too far beyond that, because then you can risk damaging the battery and then obviously being too far out to get your drone back. In any case, we'll find out when we get it out in the flight portion just how long this guy will fly on one battery. I will say I wish they had included 2 batteries with the kit. A little bit disappointing that we're only getting 1 battery. So we can see how much power is in the battery. We'll short press the button here. And yeah, we got a couple lights lit up there, so we got to know it's got a little bit of power in it already. As you charge it, those lights will strobe. And once it's fully charged, either the 4 lights will just stay on solid or they'll be completely off. But in either case, you'll know that it's that the battery is fully charged. Now, one of the things I noticed is there is no USB-C connection on the battery, so you're going to have to charge the battery within the drone. The kit does not include a charger either, so you're going to have to get your own charge block. I'm going to suggest you get a 20 amp or better charger in order to charge the battery. They do say that this is a quick charge battery, whatever that means. I guess if you've got a powerful enough charger, it'll charge it faster. I saw some other reviewers saying that they could charge this from 0 to full charge in 90 minutes, so that's not too bad. But in order to charge it, you're going to have to put it in the drone itself, and you can see the connectors on the bottom of the battery there and the connectors in the drone, so you can see how it fits in. You just push it in until it clicks and it's in the drone. And then to charge it, you got the USB-C port right there. You're going to plug into that, and that will start charging the battery. And again, you'll see those lights start to strobe as it charges. Also, the micro SD card slot is right there. Or some people call it a TF card, but I'm going to recommend that you use because this is a 4K 100 megabit bit rate drone, I'm going to suggest that you use a U3 or better rated card. I use typically a 64 gig card is plenty, although I'm sure you could use a 128 if you want to. So I've already got it unfolded here, but it gives you, in case you didn't know, it gives you instructions on here. Unfold the front arms first, and then unfold the back arms. I'll pull those decals off of there. We're not going to need those. And then I see we've got a sticker on the side here telling us to remove the gimbal cover before we fly. That's second nature to most of us. I guess for some beginners, but you want to make sure that they take that gimbal cover off. Okay, and this is my first time messing with this drone, so yeah, this is my first time getting this cover off. Just there's a little tab there. We're going to press down on it. Yep, press down on it, and it pulls right off. And there is the little camera and the gimbal itself. And I see the camera has a little piece of plastic over the lens, so you're definitely going to want to pull that off. Okay, I'm going to fold up the rear arms on this guy. And because it's got the flat bottom on the drone here, it allows me to just kind of set it under the camera here and show you the camera and gimbal. So 3-axis gimbal, if you don't know, that means that this gimbal, in order to stabilize the drone as it moves around, it's going to move in 3 axes, back and forth, up and down, and tilting like that. And that's what those little gimbal motors do to keep stable video. And let's talk about the camera. As you can see, as it says on the camera there, right on the front of the lens, it's a Sony 1/2.3 sensor, f2.6 aperture. It's got a field of view of 83 degrees. This will shoot 48 megapixel pictures, which is pretty good resolution. I'm assuming that's probably a quad bear sensor. They're splitting up those pixels, 12 megapixel normally, and then they split them up into 4, and that's how you get to 48 megapixels. It will also shoot 4K video at 30 frames per second, so that's pretty darn good. You know, if you look at some of the newer drones, they've got a little bit bigger sensor. Some of the newer mini drones, they've got a little bit bigger sensor and a little bit bigger aperture. But that's okay. We'll take a look at the flight portion and see what kind of video we get off this guy. Again, I've looked at some of the other reviewers, and they're showing some, looks like some pretty good, decent quality video. Let me see if I can bring it closer to the camera, if we can get it to focus maybe. Yeah, there we are, and get you another shot of that camera. Oh, the other thing that I need to mention about this gimbal is that it will look 90 degrees down. In other words, you can point the camera as the drone's flying forward straight at the ground, and it will shoot 30 degrees up. You can see I'm pushing it up. Well, they don't want it to look up at the nose of the drone because that would block the shot, but it will look up a little bit, so that's a good feature. So the drone itself, they're saying that it has a 20,000 foot transmission range. That translates to about 6,000 meters or 6 kilometers. You know, I highly, again, drone companies tend to exaggerate the range, but really mostly what you want is good, solid penetration. You know, in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say is if you're amongst trees or something like that, you want to have a good solid signal in case you get blocked by terrain, etc. However, flying a drone like this for 6 kilometers, I can't imagine. For one thing, I'm not sure you'd have the battery power to do that, but it is good to know that you've got good range and a good transmission system. We'll, of course, check that out when we do the flight portion of the video. So the props, you've got 2 clockwise and 2 counterclockwise props, and of course they're held on with screws. We talked about that earlier. Hopefully you never damage one, but if you do, you simply can unscrew those screws and put new props in. You never want to replace just one blade. If you have a problem, replace both blades of a prop. It's worth noting that this does have brushless motors too. Most modern drones do. I don't think very many drones still have brush motors, but it's important because they're more powerful. Then the bottom of the drone, you got a full suite of sensors here. It looks like we have an LED light right there too, so I'll be anxious to see how that works. Looks like a landing light. I'm not going to say that for sure, but that's sure what that looks like. So these 2 sensors right here, the 2 round ones, that's called a time of flight sensor. It's LiDAR. What it is it's like radar, only it uses light. One of them is a transmitter, one of them is a receiver. That tells the drone how high above the ground it is. Now, that's only good for when the drone is fairly close to the ground, you know, within, I'm going to say, 15 or 20 meters, something like that. Any higher than that, and it just can't reach that far. And then the other little round circle here you see, that's another camera. Now, you're not going to record any video through that camera, but it's what they call an optical flow camera. That tells the drone if it's moving in space. That's how it knows if it's moving around or not. It's good that it's got all those sensors. That's some sophisticated stuff. Just a couple more things to talk about the drone. They are claiming level 5 wind resistance, so that's wind up to about 24 miles an hour that it should be able to withstand those kind of winds. Some of the features that it has quick shots. If you're used to DJI products, you know what quick shots are. They're a droney, a rocket, an orbit flight, and so forth. We'll take a look at those in the flight portion of the video. Those automated flight modes can be pretty handy. That's a way that you can get some shots that are difficult to get in manual flight. And then it also has tracking, which will be interesting to see, and it's visual tracking. So you're gonna be able to draw a square around whatever it is you want to track, and the drone should follow or follow it parallel. The difference between visual tracking and GPS tracking is GPS tracking will track the GPS from your mobile device or the controller, and it may not keep you in center of frame, while visual tracking will keep the point of interest in center of frame. The best thing is probably to have a combination of both. Now, the other thing is they say it has cruise control. I didn't see that in any of the other review videos, so we'll have to take a look at that. And then it has something else called luminance control. Now, what do they mean by that? I don't know. That could just be that you're able to adjust the EV on the camera. I am not exactly sure. One last thing, it does take over the app firmware updates, which is important. So they'll continue to improve the drone as they go along. And in fact, if you buy this the first time you fire it up, it will probably ask for a firmware update, and it does that through the app, through the controller, right into the drone. So that's a handy feature. Okay, one more thing before we look at the controller. I've seen some reports that this particular drone is a clone of the Wakera T210 drone. Now, I will say this, I've looked at pictures of both, and boy, I'll tell you what, they look identical. So it may very well be, but just because it has the same form factor and the same shell doesn't necessarily mean that it's the same drone. It can even have the same specifications, but this could have, you know, different internals, etc. We don't know that, but I thought it was worth mentioning that it does appear very similar to that Wakera T210. Okay, let's take a quick look at the controller of this drone. It's a pretty standard looking controller. Looks like we've got a couple of handles that pull down here, and that's where you're going to attach your mobile device. It's just going to fit in right there. And then you've got, and I so appreciate this, that's one thing that Autel didn't do on their mini drone, is they give you a place to store the gimbal sticks, and the gimbal sticks just screw right into the gimbals right here. So before we look at the controls on the front, let's look at the sides here, because it's interesting. They have two USB-C ports, and I happen to know from looking at Jack at Half Chrome talked about this. The one on the left side here is the charge port, so a USB-C charge port, and the one on the right side of the cable is the one that you're going to plug your OTG cable into. In fact, we can do that right now. And one thing I noticed is this is a fairly short OTG cable, so it's going to reach from here, you know, as your mobile device is in here, that's where it's going to plug in at. So pretty simple controls on here. You're always going to want to unfold your antenna, of course. Keep the flat part of the antenna pointed towards the drone. The gimbals are there, of course. It's got a button here, a joystick here for EV control. So EV plus, EV minus, and that's exposure value of the camera. In other words, if it's too bright or too dark. Now, up and down, I don't know. We'll have to see what that means. Plus and minus, I'm not exactly sure at this point. But you get the power button. Let's hit it once and see if we got some juice. Yeah, it looks like this thing is fully charged. All four lights are lit up. To power it up, you're going to do just like with people that are used to DJI drones, a short press and a long press. And you heard that beep, it's powered up. Same thing to turn it off, short press, long press, and it's off. Now the button on the left-hand side here, that's the return to home button. This is the speed button on the right side. My understanding is this drone has 3 speeds, and you know, these companies all have their own names for them, but you've got a low, medium, and high. So low, cine mode, whatever, normal mode, and a sport mode, high-speed mode. So let's look at the controls on the top of the drone. You are going to start recording with this button. You're going to take a picture with this button, which would be on the right-hand side. This is your scroll wheel for the camera. In other words, that's going to point the camera up and down with the scroll wheel here. And this is a function button. I think it's set to, you push that once and it's going to point the camera straight down, but I'm sure it's programmable in the app to do other things. So we'll have to look at the app to see what all that can do. But again, you're going to want to have this thing, in other words, to charge it, you're going to charge it on the left-hand side here, and then to connect to the drone, that's going to be on the right-hand side. Pretty simple, but elegant remote control. Okay, that's about it. Let's quit messing around. Let me get the battery charged up on this drone. We'll get it out in the field, and we'll do a flight test. We'll check out the flight controls, check out the video quality, take a few pictures with it, etc. Again, I have the advantage of having looked at some other reviewers' reviews of this drone already, other YouTubers' reviews of this drone already, and it looks pretty darn good. In fact, I was going to say Ted Nemeth, my friend Ted Nemeth, did a really good review of it, and he is a professional videographer, and he did a deep dive into the camera on this thing, so his review is one you're not going to miss. Again, you heard me talk about Jack over at Half Chrome Drones. He did a really good review of this and went over all the features. And Alien Drones did it, another guy that did a really good review of it, so I would encourage you to check theirs out too. But in the meantime, let's quit messing around. Let's get this drone in the air. Hey, okay, so we're out in the field with the Holystone HS900 Sirius drone. I'm holding up the box here, or the case here, or the bag here, however you want to say it, because I wanted to show you how compact this guy is. This is really a neat little system. I'll put my hand over the top. You can see this isn't very big, so this is a real travel drone. It's I think that's one of the biggest assets. You got the whole kit in this little bag. It's pretty cool. Let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. Okay, before we start the flight portion of this video, I want to let you know something. I was unable to record video to the SD card on the drone. I'll show you a screenshot of what it looked, what I got off the SD card. It was just a bunch of illegible gobbledygook. You couldn't read it, so there was no video recorded that whole time. Even though, as you'll see on the screen recording, and that's what you just watch, you're going to watch, is just the screen recording, because that's all I have to show you. You will see that it said it was recording, but it wasn't. So let me put that on the screen right now. You can see the screenshot of those files. So yeah, you can see it's, you know, that was nothing that had any video in it, I can tell you that. And you also saw that I formatted the card within the drone. I think that was part of the problem. I'm recording this little part of the video sometime later, and I've been working with Holystone on how to get that problem resolved. I think I have a defective drone, I'll be honest with you. However, I did some more testing today, and without giving up all the secrets of that, I will say this, I did get it to record some video, but there were some other issues. But anyway, look for part 2 of this video coming soon. Okay, we're all fired up and ready to go here. One of the things that I want you to notice by looking at the app here, it looks really familiar. It sure looks a lot like the DJI Fly app in many, many ways. The other thing that I wanted to point out is the weather today. It's a fairly mild day. I think it said 9-mile-an-hour sustained, 17-mile-an-hour gusts. There's not much wind right now at all, I can tell you that. It's pretty calm. So yesterday I also updated the firmware for it, and I'll show you both screens. The original firmware that was on it when I got it, and after I updated it. It is an over-the-air update, so it's really quite easy to do, or over-the-app update, I should say. Does it through the app. If you're used to doing that with a DJI drone, etc., you'll have no problem with this. But let's go ahead and click on that Go Fly. And yeah, it's going through a little thing here to make sure we have a suitable environment to fly it, comply with regulations. We are, you saw that. Pre-flight check, we did that. And start pre-flight check. Now we're going to hit skip. Okay. And I guess they put that in there so that new flyers, but as you know, I've obviously done all that already. Let's, instead of the map here, I'm going to go to the attitude indicator. And if we're looking at in the bottom left here. So if whoops, I didn't mean to open the app all the way. Let's click on that again. And I'm going to click in the bottom right corner of the map, and it will take me to the attitude indicator. Maybe, there we go. So there's the attitude indicator, very similar to what we see on DJI products. I see it's showing 94% battery. I thought I had charged it all the way last night, so that's kind of interesting. But again, it's very similar to DJI. Look in the top right-hand side there. You can see we've got 25 satellites. I want to switch it to video mode, so we did that just by touching that little camera there. But before we start recording, let's look at our safety menu. And you can see I've got the max altitude set at 120 meters. That's max legal. We got beginner mode off. It's not asking for any calibration. Signal loss, we want it to return to home. Return to home altitude, you actually have to click on that arrow, and I set it at 35 meters. Yeah, it's still there. I did that last night. I set that to 35 meters, so you can see that's still there. Let's see, I think that's about that. We can click on these other pages just to show them. You can customize the button, the function button, recenter gimbal, or turn on cruise control. We'll look at that in a little bit as well. And we're in mode 2. There is gain and expo tuning if you so desired to do that. We're not going to mess with any of that right now. And then the about page, which gives you your serial number and app and all that. So, you know, again, if you fly a DJI drone, you're quite familiar with all that. Everything is kind of in the same place. Let's click on the camera menu here. I can show you that. I'm going to fly in auto. Let's click on video there. And transmission fluently is the lower resolution transmission. If I put an HD, yeah, it will. You have more of a chance of getting. Well, you'll have a higher definition video streamed back to your phone. You have a higher chance of it studying for your FPV view. And record rate, we want to set that at 100 megabits. We want the best recording we can. We're 4K 30 frames per second. Our only other choice is 1080p 60 frames per second and 16 by 9. So let's click on those other 3 dots. Yeah, so format the card. I think we should do that. I put a new card in it. Let's format the SD card, or TF card as they call it. And it says it was formatted successfully, so we should be good to go. Let's go ahead and start recording. I'm going to do that on the app. And it's successfully started recording. And let's do an auto takeoff on the app as well. Now, if you look at the app here, you can see that takeoff button is right next to what Apple calls the dynamic island. So a little bit, it's kind of crowded in there, but let's see if we can get that. Yeah, and take off just like DJI. Hold it down, and off it goes. And look at that, the drone is going up. It says 2 meters high, which it looks about 2 meters. It's fairly steady. It's moving around a little bit, but pretty steady. Let's kind of yaw it this direction a little bit. Turn it towards the camera here. It's very quiet, very quiet. So you can see me down there at the bottom of the screen. Let's bring the drone down. This guy does not have any kind of obstacle avoidance, so we should be able to bring it in pretty close here. Give you a look. Yeah, so there's that little drone. We can kind of move it back and forth here. You can see that gimbal in action. I can tell you, pretty impressive so far. I mean, I'm feeling like, you know, this is a very familiar feeling. The flight controls, you know, so far so good. Feel pretty good. We've got an aircraft flying above us, and I'm going to get a look at him before we move around here much. He was behind me there, and I'm going to guess he was probably, at least 1,000 feet high, but it sounded pretty loud, so I definitely wanted to get my eyes on him and see where he was going. Okay, let me drop the camera down here a little bit, and well, that's interesting. The scroll wheel, yeah, either I inadvertently touched the gimbal, I'm not sure, but drop the camera down a little bit so we can do our droney. So let's do that. Reverse and up now, reverse and up. And we're kind of going right next to the tree there. It's going to look more dramatic than it really is. We weren't that close because I got eyes on the drone. And yeah, there we are. You can see where I'm at here at Kleiner Park. Let me pick that camera back up. You can see the, how high are we? We're about, got it up to about 20 meters high here, so that's probably a good height. I can tell you it looks really good on the FPV screen. I'm anxious to see how well it does what we see off of the micro SD card, or the TF card as they called it. So we are in, I believe, normal mode. There's 3 speed modes on this guy. Let's see, we're going how fast here? Horizontal speed. Now we might be in the slow mode because that was about 4.5 meters per second. But let's see if we can do an orbit around the sculpture here. Dropping the camera down, I could see the EV kind of change there a little bit. Let's go ahead and see if I can do a manual orbit. That's kind of a good way to test the flight controls on it. And yeah, we're doing okay. We're orbiting around the sculpture there. Yeah, looking pretty good. I'm able to hold it in the center of frame. Okie dokie, let's stop right there. I'm going to grab some more altitude again, pick up the camera a little bit. You can see we've got kind of semi-cloudy skies today. I picked a spot in the shade here because in the direct sunlight my screen was dimming on my phone. But let's see, let's just go full stick forward here and let's take a look at that speed. Yeah, I think it says in the slow mode, it must be 4.5 meters per second. I'm trying to remember what it said in the manual, what the speeds were. Okay, I'm going to click on the speed button, and I'm holding the remote in front of the Action 4 camera here. So you can see this button in the top right. That's where you hit the speed. And plus, this gives you a look at how the remote looks and how it fits in there. But let's try, I'm going to change the speed here. And yeah, it's actually, if I look in the very top left corner there, it says stable mode. That is the slow speed. So if I click it again, it'll go into normal mode. Okay, that says normal. Let's do full stick forward again and let's see how fast this guy gets up to. And it should be about 10 meters per second, I think. 8.5. There may be some wind up there. I don't know. Let's go point it towards the other pond here, and let's just go straight across at full stick forward again. See what kind of speed we get up to. A little over 8 meters per second, 8.3 there. So that gives you an idea of the speed. You know, one of the things that I don't have is I didn't put grid lines on here, and I'm looking. I might be wrong, but I think I got a little tiny, just a little bit of a tilted horizon. Not bad. Let's spin the drone around real quick and see what happens to the horizon. Yeah, that's a good way, and it did kind of tilt a little bit, but it is very subtle, and it immediately straightens right out. So I'm not going to complain about that. I'd say that's actually quite good. Okay, let's go ahead and put it in high-speed mode now. So we click on that, and it says sport mode. So let's go full stick forward in sport mode, and let's kind of check the top speed of this guy. We're down to 68% battery. So speed-wise, there's 13 meters per second. I think they said the top speed is 14 meters per second. And then it dropped back down to 12. So, you know, that is about what a Mini 4 Pro is in normal mode. Well, there it's good. Well, we almost hit, there must be some wind. We'll turn around and go the other way. We hit 13 meters per second. Yeah, there's almost 14. We hit 13.8. Okay, let's turn around again and see if I can sport mode. That definitely, sorry for that quick movement there. That definitely affected the speed of that yaw there, because it speeds up all the controls. So let's go back the other way here, and again we're in sport mode. Let's see if there's some kind of wind that might be making a difference. Whoops! Again, I over adjusted there. Sorry about that. Let's go straight over the pond again. So we actually must be going against the wind now because it's slower, 9.2 meters per second. So it definitely slowed the drone down. This drone has it has brushless motors, so I think it probably has the capability of going faster, but it's how far in the software they let the drone pitch forward. So one of the things that I'll say is we're in sport mode and there's no gimbal knock at all. In other words, the gimbal doesn't push down. The gimbal is quite stable. So for instance, if we were flying the DJI Mini 4K and you put it in sport mode, you would see the gimbal drop. And they do that on purpose to keep the camera from looking at the nose of the drone. We're going to go back into normal mode here. So I think that's stable, so let's go back into normal. So I think that part of Holystone's solution here, so that they didn't have to have that gimbal drop, or gimbal knock as many of us call it, is that they just keep the drone from pitching that far. And of course that limits the top speed. But what I'll say is on a mini drone, how fast you need to go anyway. So here's what I'm going to do here. I have had people ask me about the In-N-Out drive-in, or In-N-Out hamburger store that opened up over here. We're going to go over the top of the buildings here at the Village Shopping Center, and we're going to go take a peek over at the In-N-Out and see how it looks. We're down to 53% battery. So one of the things about this kit that I wish that they would change is that it only comes with one battery. I wish they would have at least put 2 batteries in the kit, because most people are going to want another battery. So I don't know, Holystone, if you're listening, maybe that's something you could do in the future. Even if that affected the cost a little bit, you know, most people are going to want to fly more than one battery at a time. Putting 2 batteries in that kit would be helpful. So there's the In-N-Out burger joint there, and yeah, it looks like they got a fairly long drive-through line. Look at that, it's kind of going around the corner there. Let me drop the camera a little bit, get it more in center of frame. Let's get up to the corner of this building here, get a little bit closer look. And yeah, so you can see there's a fairly long line there. You know, popular, anybody on the West Coast, and even some of you on the East Coast, and even some of you international viewers will be familiar with In-N-Out Burger. It's a popular burger chain. But in any case, they tend to have to manage their crowds. And you can see they got a pretty long line in the drive-thru, and the parking lot's full too. But previously, let me yaw to the right here. See those other parking lots that are empty now, those empty spots? They were, and this one that's got, yeah, they walled off that one. That must be for employees. And even these other 2 lots right here, those, when they first opened up, were full of cars, people waiting to go through the drive-thru and order a hamburger. And it got pretty darn crazy. There were people, believe it or not, that waited up to 8 hours to get through the drive-thru to get a hamburger. And they even put little porta potties along the way on the line, because obviously people would have to use the restroom, etc. So just kind of an interesting thing. But yeah, it looks like it's still busy, but not certainly not. I'm sure those people, they might be waiting half an hour or something, but that's sure a far cry from the several hours that people were waiting previously. Okay, let's just we've got still 42% battery. And I am in normal mode, about 8 meters per second, which seems kind of slow, but you know, I'm thinking about some of the drones of the past. The original Hubsan Zeno, that was top speed for that drone. So really, that's about 18, 19 miles an hour, so that's pretty quick. Let's see, let's drop some altitude here. And I'm kind of looking at the altitude. It feels like I'm higher. It's saying that this telemetry, I can tell you, height-wise, is not accurate. We are way higher than yeah. In fact, look, it's going to take us into negative. Okay, we're in negative altitude now. So that's an issue. They need to work on that telemetry. Negative 2 meters high right now. And, you know, I can just tell we're probably 30 meters high. So, yeah, that's it. That's kind of interesting. I saw another reviewer mention that as well. So that's something they need to work on for sure. So let's see, the other thing, let's click on that battery meter at the top. Yeah, so it doesn't really do anything. So if you click on the battery meter on a DJI drone, it tells you how long till return to home, etc. And I don't see any red mode or anything on there, you know, that tells you, gives you an indication of when the drone is going to want to return to home. But let's keep dropping down here, and yeah, this altitude telemetry is way off. I can tell you, just because I fly here a lot, I think that distance is about right. But I can tell you that the altitude is definitely, according to that, we're 25, 26 meters negative altitude. So yeah, something you need to work on there, Holystone, if you watch this video, and I hope you do. But I'm sure that's something that can be corrected with a firmware update. So not a deal killer at all, but it's just something worth mentioning. And let's see, I'm kind of faced away from the drone. I saw a little bit of stuttering on FPV, but I was faced directly away from the drone. Let me move forward here. In fact, let's go take a look at the, we're at 30% battery, so we're in good shape. Signal weak, please adjust. So I'm pointing the flat part of the antenna straight at the drone. Let's see if we got anybody playing pickleball over here. Yeah, it looks pretty empty over there, doesn't it? I see some people walking. They might be playing disc golf. I can't tell for sure by looking at my FPV screen, but probably disc golfers. But I don't see anybody out there playing pickleball, which is unusual on a beautiful day like today. Let's head back this way and pick up the camera as we go. And let's bring it back. So this first video, I'll go over a lot of the features of the drone in other videos, but this first video I just wanted to focus on video quality, and let's see how well it looks. So one of the things I want to try is putting the drone in cruise control. So I'm pushing forward on the stick, and I was trying to do 2 clicks of the function button, so let's try that again. So the function button, 1 click drops the camera down 90 degrees. 2nd click picks it up, so that's what you saw there. But supposedly 2 clicks puts it in cruise control, so that's what I want to try. So I'm going to push forward on the stick, and yeah, it's telling me it's going to return to home. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll try that another time. Yeah, so automatic return to home, and that is at 23% battery, so that's good. You probably don't want to, and it's rising up, right, that 35 meters, so it was in negative altitude, so it's going to go way up there. So bear that in mind when you set your return to home altitude. In fact, I would be willing to guess we're probably at max legal right now. Yeah, signal weak, it says, so I'm holding, because the drone is so far up there, I'm having to hold the controller up to get the flat part of the antenna facing the drone. But this is where that telemetry thing is an issue, right? Because the drone is not going to know whether it's over legal height. And I'm telling you, just from my experience, I'm telling you, we are probably very close to 400 feet high right now. And that's me dropping the camera down as we go, and you can see me sitting there and the landing pad right there next to that tree. Let's drop that camera straight down, and it'll start dropping down now. Now I want to see what's the drone going to do as it descends and it gets into negative altitude. Is it going to keep coming down? So, and we got plenty of battery. We're at 16% battery. We've been flying for recording for about 15 minutes. And as you recall, the battery wasn't full, so. But you know, my initial thought was you're going to get about 20 minutes of battery life out of this guy. So returning home, and it's going into negative altitude, and it's still dropping down. So let's see, we'll see when it gets down here. And it's dropping, man, it's coming down not terribly fast. Uh, yeah, I mean it's not coming down very fast at all, although it is coming down. Okay, I stopped that return to home because it was taking forever and the battery's getting low. So I definitely wanted to get it on the ground. So I'm just pulling down on the stick. It was descending at such a low rate. Let me see if I can get it over the pad here. And it says we're in stable mode. So let's see if we can get over the top of the pad, move forward just a little bit. Bring it back, and I'm going to pull straight down on that left stick, and we'll see if we can get it in landing mode here. And yeah, we're kind of half on the pad, half off. You're seeing some grass there. Okay, and we are down to 6% battery, and I didn't see, we were probably recording there for 16 or 17 minutes. One of the things I like that I saw there, though, is that it stopped recording once it landed. By the way, I'm going to have to look at the, I didn't pay any attention to what it said for height there when we got down low, how far we were in negative altitude. But let me get it shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Okay, the Holystone HS900 Sirius drone. Man, I'm just going to tell you right here at the outset, this is going to be a bold statement, but this is the best Holystone drone that there ever was. I'm just telling you, it's the best release that Holystone has ever put out there on the market by a good margin. It flies great. The camera looked really good, and of course I'm just looking what I saw off my FPV feed. I haven't looked at the video off of the micro SD card yet, but what I've seen in other people's reviews was quite favorable. So I've got a positive impression of the drone for sure. The app itself, and that is the Holystone Sirius app, was very familiar. It is no doubt modeled after the DJI Fly app because everything's in the same place. So it was very easy for me to use. I was able to find everything quite easily. I thought the flight controls were quite good. You saw as soon as I took off, I did a manual dronie without issue. Then I did just an orbit around the sculpture behind me here, and that was quite easy to do with the drone. So that says a lot about the flight controls. We tried the speed modes. It's not the fastest drone, right? Even in sport mode, we got up to not quite 14 meters per second. Now, that's not really a knock because what happens is this little gimbal on the front is when the drone tries to go fast, the drone has to pitch forward. And if it pitches forward too far, the camera looks up at the nose of the drone. Well, you can't have that. So DJI's solution and other drone manufacturers' solution is they do what they call a gimbal kick or gimbal knock. It kicks that gimbal down a little bit so that it's looking down. And even though the drone is pitched over, the gimbal is looking down and it doesn't see the nose of the drone. And so their solution, I guess, I'm quite sure, is to limit how far the drone will pitch forward, which is fine. 14 meters per second is pretty quick. That's well over 30 miles an hour. So, and it's a mini drone. So, there's that. Range-wise, we went out to the other end of the park here. I've seen lesser drones have problems there. I got a little bit of a warning on the screen that I had a signal issue. What I realized is that I was pointed the opposite direction from the drone. I turned around, pointed the antenna towards the drone, and that ended that right there. I'm sitting at a picnic table, so you kind of forget those things when you're doing that, but you definitely want to keep the flat part of the antenna pointed towards the drone at all times. So again, performance-wise, maybe, I'm not even sure. I don't have grid lines on my FPV screen, but potentially there might have been a little fraction of a tilted horizon. If there was, it wasn't much. I did that one quick yaw. I thought it looked really good, and even if it was tilted a little bit, it immediately straightened right out. So no knock there at all. The worst thing that I can say, the biggest complaint that I have, is that telemetry, and I've seen that, and other reviewers have mentioned that, where I knew that the altitude wasn't looking quite right, and as we brought the drone down, we went into negative altitude. Well, then what happens when it went into low battery return to home? Man, it shot way up there, and I'm quite sure we were close to 400 feet or 120 meters. I've flown here enough. I have a pretty good idea of what it looks like at different altitudes. So that's something that they need to address, but I'm sure that's something that could be addressed with firmware, and I'm sure that they'll probably get that done. So one more thing we need to talk about is competition for this drone. So I put my other glasses on so I can read my notes. And by the way, if I didn't mention it before, this drone appears to be a clone of the Quadcopter T210. All I can say is, looking at pictures, they look almost identical, as does the controller. Now, whether they're the same inside, I don't know. They could have completely different innards and motherboards, etc., for all I know. But I can tell you they look very similar. This drone, I think one of the things is the price. So the full price of this drone on Amazon, and that's where Holystone sells it, is $599.99, $600. Well, of course, they never sell it for that price, so they instantly discount it. It says 22% on Amazon, so that brings it down to $469.99. Well, then they also have one of those instant $100 off coupons. If you check the box, you get another $100 off. So that brings it to $369.99. So $370. So let's compare that to if you were going to buy a DJI drone. So features-wise, the DJI Mini 4K is very similar to this product, and that single battery version is $299, although for that you don't get a case like you do with this drone. And then if you wanted to step up a little bit, the Mini 3 Standard, not the Mini 3 Pro, the Mini 3 Standard is $469 on Amazon, and right now it's on sale for $419, and that drone has a better camera, has more features, etc. So, for about $40 more, or $50 more, I guess, you'd be into that Mini 3, which again is an amazing little drone. And then I just put the Mini 4 Pro in here just if you wanted to step up to that level. So if you got the Mini 4 Pro, which obviously we know all the features it has, with just the standard RCN2 controller, in other words, not the controller with the FPV screen on it, that guy is about $759. So essentially it'd be another $400 beyond the price of this drone, but that kind of puts it in context for you. So what's the other competition? I guess I would have to say the main competition, particularly on Amazon, etc., is Potensic, and the Potensic Atom, which has a very similar feature set, similar size sensor and everything. Again, they do kind of weird things. So their full price is $449.99. If you get it, they instantly give you 16% off. That gets it down to $379.99. And they've also got one of those little click the thing for the coupon, and it brings that drone down to $349.99. So $20 cheaper than this one. I can tell you this, in my opinion, is probably a better drone. I had a few issues with the Atom. Good drone, but had some connection issues. Saw none of that with this drone. Very good connection. This drone, I'm going to tell you, this is competitive with DJI. There's, the things that I talked about before, but man, from what I'm seeing so far, it is looking really good, and this could be your one and only drone, and you could be quite happy with it. Now, I'm saying that having not looked at the video off the SD card yet, but I have a feeling it's going to look quite good. Other reviewers that have done a really good job of review, I think I mentioned it earlier, Ted Nemeth has a really good review of this drone. Half Chrome Drones, Jack over at Half Chrome did a really good review, and Alien Drones has a good review of it. So I suggest you go over and look at their, if you're thinking about buying this. I'm glad you're looking at mine, but go over and looking at theirs too. Look at theirs as well. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to do a lot more videos with this drone. We're going to go through the intelligent flight modes and a lot of other things, everything that it'll do. And obviously with one battery, there's only so much you can do. I wish if I had a second battery, I probably would have done it now. But in any case, we'll see you guys later. The Holystone HS900 Sirius drone.